Hello and welcome to another episode with the Unlibrarian. Today I'm talking about something that's recently come out in the news. I'm going to share a screen here. It is a bit of a sensitive topic, so I am putting that out there right now that if you are sensitive to sensitive topics, you might find this a little sensitive. The screen I'm sharing with you to be able to find this article was that I was looking up articles that reported experiencing sexual harassment in careers, particularly librarians. Just 6 days ago, from the University of Alberta, is Behind the Stacks. Research exposes sexual harassment. Now, this is not an unheard of thing. This is actually quite common. It's even common at our local universities. This is a French article that came out a few years ago, saying that 41% of the members just at our local French university have undergone some form of sexual violence, and that's students and staff. It's come out in a lot of other universities over the years as well, and I have actually come up with different PowerPoints over the years and gone to library faculty, like schools, to ask, hey, what do you do to teach librarians how to handle it? Because it happens all too often. And to see this come out, all right, I'm going to talk about this. I want to talk about this in a way, though, that's might be a little different, because I want to talk about how future librarians can protect themselves and how to handle these situations. I myself am a redheaded librarian. You can well imagine how much I've had to deal with at the reference counter, in the dating world, and just everything. It's a lot. It's a lot. I will be honest with you. It can be a lot sometimes. So as my role now, I get to teach you. I get to help you deal with all sorts of crazy situations, really, but everyday situations. How often is it in the public library you have to go up behind somebody that's on a computer and say, excuse me, that's inappropriate content to be looking at the library. Can you please switch to something more appropriate or leave the library entirely? Thank you. It happens a lot. And I find in library school, we don't talk about that enough. We need to. A lot of young women, especially, are being put into vulnerable positions. Public libraries are very, very common for harassment to happen as well. Again, we're talking about a young woman and the perception of the sexy librarian. So that stereotype, as wonderful and sexy it is, it can also be harmful because you end up with the creeps, the lurkers, and the fetishizers. Now, I don't know how many different videos of this I'm going to do, because I've written different things here and there, and I'm finding pieces of it, pieces of my brain from the last 5 to 7 years or so, and it's really neat. So this will probably expand as I find these different pieces. But this one here, I talk about like how to divert. So the three diverting strategies I'll talk about today are the talker, the looky-loo, and the boundary crosser. The slingshot method is one of my best, and I use it in retail too. Any type of job that has a product you can put in a person's hands, the better it is, because then you create a separation. These are the types of strategies I'm talking about. So say you're serving a patron and you're trying to do your job. You've finished your reference question. It's all good, and they're still there. They're still standing there and talking to you. You're trying to be polite. You want to be polite because that's part of being a librarian, is being polite, right? And So the longer they stand there, the longer they're holding up the rest, the longer they're holding up you, and the more comfortable they're becoming in your presence. So what do? You get up and you take them to the book, put the book in their hands, and say thank you and have a good day. This is highly beneficial. It actually makes it more customer servicey and makes, like, if you make that a part of your standard process, it won't look like you're singling out anyone either. And then they'll give you a higher added value checkbox for anyone that comes into your library. 2, it puts something between you and that person. Giving them that slip of paper is sometimes enough. That's why you always write down and give them a piece of paper, because it gives them something to focus on that's physical. It's a distraction method. If that's not enough, you need to put the actual book in their hands or something similar to, here, have this. In retail, it's the product. Put the product in the hand. This also increases chances of the person purchasing the product, or in this case, checking out the book. Very good strategy. You get up, you go around, you put them where they need to be, give them the book, and then go back to your desk. This also creates a separation of distance between you and the talker. They could also be a looky-loo or boundary crosser. Now, this one here, in this case, the one that just kept talking and talking and talking, they're the talker. The looky-loos are a little harder because they'll come up randomly. They'll sit somewhere not too far where they can see you, and they'll look at you. And you'll have to put your head down. And you'll notice you, and they'll come up at random times to ask different little things. Oh, can I have help with the printer? Yeah, sure, not a problem. Oh, can I have help with this database? Sure, not a problem. And it could happen over the time they're there in that one session, over a lot of weeks. It can vary. The earlier it's caught, the better. Because if you notice there's a looky-loo, always have, and this is highly important in libraries, having 2 people on reference desk. I know budget-wise, it's not so fun. Safety-wise, oh, heck yes. Oh, heck yes. Academic, public, don't care. You're on the reference desk dealing with public, 2 people minimum. Even when I was working at security in my first year of university at that desk, it was never 1 person. 2 people minimum, especially after certain hours of the day. Always. That security is highly important. That way, if there is that person, be like, hey, I need to go put these books in the stacks. Or, hey, I need to go have my break now. Again, the earlier it's caught and you can break that separation, you're breaking that level of comfort in them doing what they do. And if you're able to do that, great. If not, engage yourself with something and just totally ignore. Do not look. Keep engagements to an absolute bare minimum. Okay? Factual only. If they start asking about your personal life, especially with talkers, they're more likely to talk more about themselves, granted. But like with the looky-loos, they want to know you. Oh, where are you from? They'll ask slowly over time and gather information. Do not give in. Always redirect back to the service you're providing, the duty, the task to do. Oh, yeah. Oh, where are you from? Oh, I really like it here at this library. Oh, you know what? That's a really good book. Do not give in. The moment you give in to answering one of those personal questions, they have a wedge. They can ask you more questions. Oh, really? What school did you go to? How old are you? Are you a real redhead? Wait, whoa. That escalated. That's how it happens. It escalates by little bits, and then you're like, uh-oh. And this is where having trauma-informed supervisors and security, safety-informed supervisors can be really beneficial too, because then they can keep an eye out and help you out too. It becomes a bit of a mother-hen situation sometimes, but it's worth it. It's worth it because then you can have either the other librarian comes up and notices that, that patron's been talking to that librarian colleague, and this can be men and women alike, by the way. The fetish goes both ways here. Always, really. Go up and be like, hey, I need your help over with this printer here. Help each other out. There is a saying called safety in numbers, and it's absolutely accurate, especially in the workplace. Two minimum. Because then we get into the boundary crosser. This is the one that comes around behind the desk and looks right over your shoulder. Excuse me, sir, you're not allowed to be back here. Having either security guard, fellow librarian, or another worker around must occur, because then that way they can actually come over and help reinforce you're not supposed to be here. If one person is unable to define their boundary in that instance and is absolutely overstepped, a second person must intervene to reinforce that boundary. Those boundaries can be taught in an information session in a workshop. It could be integrated into policy. Oh, if you notice this, go do this. And there are becoming people that are training more. A really good friend of mine, he's putting together something really cool so you can be able to identify these factors to keep everybody safer, because those numbers should not exist. Almost half a population of an entire university. Hello. Those numbers should not exist. When you're talking about that many librarians having experienced that, I'm grateful it's being talked about. But when you're talking that only 7% of workers report never being harassed, only 7% have never been harassed. No. 20% said they've been harassed somewhere between 2 and 5 times, and another 35% between 6 and upward. 33% said that it's happened so often, they actually lost count. I've been there. It contributes to burnout. It affects mental health in a way. And not all systems are equal. Every institution has their own policies. Some institutions have them implemented in different ways. Some of them are implementable. Some of them are not. It is not a one-size-fits-all at all. Each system's different. The only thing you can rely on is protecting yourself and having good coworkers at your back. That's where the safety lies, is in your team. Your team dynamics protect people. I find in a team dynamic where, for example, a supervisor is regularly checking in on a person or coming by, or another coworker is in, that person is not a sitting duck at a desk, for example, it discourages inappropriate and unprofessional behaviors. It's not to, what's the word I'm looking for? Some people are always worried about being, where you're being picked on and they're micromanaged. Nobody wants to be micromanaged. I get it. But there is also safety in numbers, and there's a healthy medium in there. It's not an all or none situation. And now we have the virtual world too. And that's probably created, I know it's probably created a whole other bunch more issues, because reference services are no longer provided just in person. It's also provided online, right? So what happens if someone slides into your DMs? Thank you so much for helping me. You're welcome. Please keep this to the other chat. Like, I've actually had to do that in my business, where, you know, somebody goes to my personal DMs like, if you have any business related questions, please go through here. Thank you and have a good day. That's it. That's all you have to do. You don't have to make it difficult or inappropriate. Polite boundaries are effective. They have to be confident enough to do it, because it can happen that, you know, you've tried to reinforce boundaries and or done something to help yourself, and every time you seek assistance to do so, it doesn't happen. So you get that fatigue, that um that wear and tear, like you just that helplessness after a while. Um if you're there, my heart to you, it does get better. It does get better. It takes time, and I hope you find the community and the resources to get there. I do. Um, in order to prevent getting there, it takes having a good team around you, directors, managers, and, you know, having that communication of, if one librarian or library worker, or it applies across the board, honestly, here, says, hey, I've been having an issue with this patron. Do something about it. Address it. And it goes the other way around too. I hate to say it, but it goes the other way around too. And there are creepy librarians out there too, man. Or yeah, again, some of the things I've seen. Oh man. If somebody says something, there's probably something to it. That's what I've learned. Um, have systems in place and have repercussions in place. Because it's one thing to say we're here for victims, we're here for people, and you can come and tell us what are the repercussions. If a patron does this, acts like this, we can call security for this. That's actionable. Work with your security services. I'm sure they got lots of suggestions for you of how to assist and do better. Collaboration for the win. I honestly think things can get better with the right collaborations and with the right level of awareness. Don't, you know, I'm talking about the pink elephant in the room today, okay? But as I said, I am the person who will raise my hand and be the awkward one to ask the question, to get clarification on something, knowing that other people, I might understand it, but other people may not. And everybody benefits. This is one of those things that, you know, I am graced with many years of experience of having to navigate these situations. And I hope that this helps younger librarians, current librarians, even older librarians, because it happens to everybody, male, female, it don't matter. That fetish exists so prevalently. And the systems in place don't necessarily protect. They're still learning how to make that into policy, really, and how to make it actionable. It's like policy is fine, but without the action, what happens? So, like I said, it comes down to your own personal strategies. So, like I was saying, if there's somebody that comes over and is talking with you, or is really trying to create that more than professional connection with you, create that distance between, either with an object or a task or a coworker. Have a second person around. Inform either, you know, if you're working with security or your supervisor, the awareness needs to be there so you can keep an eye out on things. And I mean, don't let it escalate. And if it does escalate, hopefully you have people and plans in place. I mean, I've had to take a lot of situations into my own hands over the years where I end up being the one of being like, hey, you're crossing a boundary right now. No one else is daring to talk to you about this, but you're making me uncomfortable, and there's others that are uncomfortable. Get me the awkward one, but I'll have that conversation because it makes things better for everybody. Everybody. Because sometimes a person's not even aware they're doing that, which is even more screwed up. But it's also kind of telling of a system that supports certain behaviors. So it's kind of got to be addressed somewhere in there. Anyway, this is one way. This is the beginning of another way. This is the Unlibrarian wrapping up another podcast video after seeing that article come out. And I hope that these strategies help you out, and maybe it can help administration remember 2 people at all times in the library building. Okay? Thank you. Have a good day, folks. And if it's sunny where you are, enjoy it. And if it's rainy, enjoy that too, because with that rain, flowers will grow. Have a good one.